Ryan Reaves, the veteran forward of the Toronto Maple Leafs, may be seeing his time in Toronto coming to an end. Head coach Craig Berube's decision to limit Reaves' ice time in recent weeks is fueling speculation about his future with the team. Last Tuesday, Reaves was assigned to protect the Leafs players in a game against the Philadelphia Flyers, especially after Jake McCabe's injury in a controversial collision with Garnet Hathaway in the previous game. However, Reaves' impact was once again questioned. Despite being on the fourth line, Reaves played only 6:52 in the game, a reduced time compared to previous matches. This decision forced Berube to dismantle a fourth-line formation that had been performing well, consisting of Steven Lawrence, David Kampf, and Connor Dewar. This combination had proven effective both defensively and in creating offensive chances. Statistics show a steady decline in Reaves' usage. Before Christmas, he logged ice times of 10 o'clock and 11:54, but in recent games, this number dropped drastically to 8:14, 5:11, and finally 6:52. This raises an important question. Does Reaves still have a relevant role in a team seeking consistency in its bottom lines? The line formed by Lawrence, Kampf, and Dewar has been one of the team's most reliable. According to MoneyPuck.com, this trio has the lowest expected goals against per 60 minutes and generates nearly 3 times more high-danger scoring chances than they allow. Additionally, they have achieved these numbers despite starting only 10.53% of their shifts in the offensive zone. In comparison, Reaves seems out of sync with Berube's philosophy for the fourth line. While he may still be useful in specific situations, his role has become more symbolic, serving as a locker room leader rather than being effective on the ice. With a $1.35 million contract and one more year remaining, Reaves takes up significant cap space for the Leafs. This money could be used more strategically, especially with the trade deadline approaching. There are interesting names on the market, such as Vincent Trocheck and Brock Nelson, who could have a much greater impact on the team's performance. Will the Leafs consider waiving Reaves to free up cap space? This would not only allow for greater financial flexibility, but also help strengthen the roster for the playoffs. What do fans think? Now, we want to hear from you, Leafs fans. Do you think Ryan Reaves still has an important role on the team, or is it time to move on? Is it worth keeping Reaves for his locker room leadership, even if his on-ice impact is limited? Who would you like to see the Leafs sign with the money freed up by a potential Reaves departure? The Toronto Maple Leafs are in a prime position this NHL season, ranking as one of the strongest teams and serious contenders for the Stanley Cup. With the trade deadline approaching, the team is expected to make moves to further strengthen the roster, seeking key pieces that can make a difference in the most crucial moments of the season. Among the possibilities, one interesting name emerges in discussions: Taylor Hall, currently with the Chicago Blackhawks and a 2018 Hart Trophy winner. According to analyst Stephen Nixon of Editor & Leaf, Hall would be a perfect addition to the Leafs, particularly because he is a versatile player with experience and the skill to complement Toronto's offense. Taylor Hall would be an ideal choice for the Maple Leafs, Nixon commented. He's a pending free agent who would certainly love to play for his hometown team. Despite his stats this season not being impressive, 21 points in 39 games, it's important to remember that he's playing for a rebuilding team. But how could Taylor Hall impact the Maple Leafs? Nixon suggests that Hall would fit perfectly on the third line alongside Max Domi and Fraser Minton. This combination, according to the analyst, would create a balanced offensive line capable of contributing both defensively and offensively. He also points out that Hall's arrival would allow for important changes on the bottom lines, further strengthening the team's depth. Hall has excellent vision, and his experience would be crucial alongside young players like Minton. This would also help reorganize the fourth line, with Bobby McMahon bringing more physical presence and offensive touch instead of Pontus Holmberg, Nixon emphasized. And you, Leafs fan, what do you think? Would Taylor Hall be the missing piece to take the team to the next level? Hall's current contract is a factor to consider. He's in the final year of a 4-year deal worth $24 million. This makes his acquisition more feasible. especially considering that the Chicago Blackhawks will likely look to move him before the deadline, given that they are out of playoff contention. Scott Powers of The Athletic reinforces this possibility, mentioning that Hall is probably the most attractive player for teams seeking reinforcements. He notes that even with a slight dip in recent production, Hall still has consistent numbers and a history of strong playoff performances, such as his 5 goals in 7 games in 2023. Teams looking for secondary scoring will view Hall as a solid option, Powers commented. While the chance of getting a second-round pick for him is slim, a third-round pick seems more realistic, especially if Chicago decides to retain part of his salary. What does this mean for the Leafs? With 274 goals and 444 assists in 871 career games, Hall brings experience and offensive presence that would be valuable for the Leafs in the playoffs. Additionally, his addition would provide more roster depth, something essential in a long championship run. Now, we want your opinion. Would Taylor Hall be a good bet for the Leafs at this moment? Do you think the third line would be stronger with Hall, Domi, and Minton? What would be a fair price to pay for a player like Hall? The Leafs face a critical moment. Reaves' future could mean more financial flexibility, while Hall's arrival might be the missing piece to solidify Toronto as a true Stanley Cup contender. Both decisions require careful consideration of their short and long-term impacts. Now it's your turn. What do you think? Does Ryan Reaves still have a place on this team, or is it time for Toronto to move on? And Taylor Hall, is he worth the gamble to strengthen the attack? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoy analyses like this and want to keep up with everything about the Leafs, don't forget to like this content, subscribe to the channel, and activate notifications so you don't miss any updates. Your participation is crucial in building the most engaged Leafs fan community.